I want to welcome you to my show here at the Yellow Barn. This is my yearly show. I do this to show you what I've been working on this year. Okay, so most of these paintings are from this year. If there are any that are older, they've been revisited, and you would be surprised how much they've changed. All right, so paintings are never finished. That's the tough part. So if you have them sitting around long enough, you continue to work on them. But the work here you see is, but there are about 100 paintings, and I think the it helps me to be able to show you, because I teach and that here at the Yellow Barn, what what I'm up to, and I think and share with you today some of the things that I feel you'll benefit from and you'll learn from. Okay, so I think this is hopefully it's going to inspire you. That's my reason for doing this. So we'll go ahead and get started now. Uh, the Going to share the screen, and this is the lecture here. So just got to start the slideshow. First of all, the Yellow Barn is a studio that I started back in the 1990s. So as we've been, it's over 30 years now that the Yellow Barn, you know, started. And I think the thing is that it has served thousands of people. And it's really been an amazing journey, to tell you the truth, with all the things that happen here and all the people that support what's going on here. And I want to thank all of you for being part of this. We do have a friends organization. So if you're not a friend, that'd be a great idea because it helps to support. This is a national park. You can't borrow any money. Nobody's going to lend you money to invest in the government. So I think this is the kind of thing, start realizing that we have to have a nonprofit. And so we do things like, we put on shows and things like that for the community. We have a high school show that's going to be in a Gallery 1, I think, or Gallery B in Bethesda for the month of April, and where we support the outstanding high school students in Montgomery County, and we give out awards that help them, to inspire them, to continue to follow the arts as a career. So your support is really needed, and we appreciate if you would join the Friends. You can go to the Friends of the yellowbarnstudio.org. Michelle Escalante. Michelle, where are you today? Michelle's on the board. Is there any other board members here? Nobody's here, right? Just you. Yeah. So Michelle's on the board, and so he gives his time, volunteers to make everything happen. And we have a show coming up here called the Member Show, which is in December. Okay, so that's a big one. Hopefully you come back for that one. It's the first weekend in December and goes through until the holidays. Okay, so we do, by the way, we offer this coming term probably about 80 classes taught by truly 40 of the most outstanding instructors you'll find anywhere. So I think that, if you're interested in taking classes at the Yellow Barn, just know that this is available to you. I do things like I do inner kind of reviews of student work or practicing artists. People want to get into galleries, things like that. So if you're interested in that, that's on our website, yellowbarnstudio.com. The winter mini sessions, some of you have signed up for the mini sessions, but I'm going to be running 4 mini sessions in the month of December, which is on Zoom. And, if you're interested, you can go to the Yellow Barn website and you can see what I'm doing. I also, and this is my favorite outfit, okay, I love painting in the wintertime. So I look forward to it. All right. And as Birchfield said, despite its inconveniences, winter is the most dramatic season of all. That pretty well sums up who I am. All right. These are my winter classes. So if you're interested in any of those, Um, again, they are up on the website as well. You can just Google the instructors, when you get on the website, and you'll see what I'm teaching. Okay. So let's see if I can get rid of that. So we have some international trips, just so you know. If anyone is still interested, I found out that we only have one spot available, I think, on our Croatia trip. So, but on this Japanese trip, we're doing two two parts of this Japanese trip. We're going from April 1st through the 10th, and that's full. We have 30 people traveling with us to Japan, and we have a few spaces open. I know we don't have many um, for this part of the trip as well, but this is more of touring. So we're taking non-painters, anyone that wants to go, but we'll be taking our sketchbooks and things like that. But there's only a few spots left with that. And if you're interested, it's tiernotours.com is the website, and you can see the itinerary, and the cost is very reasonable. And flying from here to Japan is $1,200 right now. You get a return trip, round trip for $1,200. On United, it goes directly to Tokyo, so out of Dulles. So if you're interested, but we will be running other workshops, and I'll show you the one here that's coming up. But our plans for September are Bath and Cornwall, and then in next year in April we're going to Morocco, and then we're going to go in July to Iceland, and then I'm not sure what we're doing for the following one, but we run 3 workshops a year that are very, very popular. This particular workshop, I call it the Love Boat. All right, there are people that have been on this trip and they've signed up again, so we're going again because it's so good. All right, and just so you know, if you're interested, there might only be one spot left. But is that right? One singles left. All right. So you might have your choice of that one room. All right. But you have to get in touch with them today, of course. All right. This is my new work, and I'm a prolific painter, obviously. There's many more paintings that I haven't put in this show that I have at home as well. But the work is something that reflects my life and what I feel is important in my life. And thank God I have a passion, because it makes every day an incredible day. All right. And I think this is one of the things that, being an artist, those of you that are, you know what I'm talking about. So this exhibition is about my journey, and it's I've been doing it for 50 years or more. I keep trying to lose count. All right. So this is one of the things I'll tell you, but you can see that this was how we were getting set up the other night. And I want to thank Susan Gallego, who's one of the members of our board, but also she curates a lot of the major shows that we have, and she hung this show. And it's really, I really think she did a great job. The people that helped out, there's some of them that are here. I want to thank Steve Hay, who's somewhere here. I saw him come in, and Jamie Visa, who's my stepson, and Zhao, Anastasia's here. Anastasia's in the room, and Doug Hamby, Michelle Escalante, and Aruna is here, and Adrian, and my wife, Alex. So these are the people that helped put this show up. And, it's helped me a lot for sure, because I'd have to do it all. So my philosophy, all right. One of the things that Jackson Pollock said is every artist paints what he or she is. And I think that's the key. I think that when you start to realize how you think, all right, whether you're copying from photos or you're out in this 35-mile-an-hour winds where I had to put stones in my backpack to hold my easel down and prop stones all around. And I thought, this is perfect for me. This is my temperament. So this painting tells you exactly who I am. All right. And I think that every artist, does, whether they want to or not, take a philosophical view. And mine is a response to nature and using paint as the medium to paint the music. I always say that every painting has a piece of music to it. And this is one of the things that I can hear when I'm making my paintings. As a matter of fact, you might be standing next to me and hear a lot of weird sounds that I'm making as I'm painting, but I'm tuned in. All right. And I think this is one of the things I want you to understand about me. And I'm drawn to the vibration of light. Vibration is in everything. It is probably the most important thing, whether you realize it or not. Uh, and I think that the thing about vibration is that we internalize it. We internalize both color and sound. And I think that when we start to realize how that, we do that, it sets a stage for our ideas. So I think this is one of the most important things. So I'm the painter of light. There are a lot of painters during the history of painting that have been interested in light. My one inspiration, particularly, is Turner. You'll see that I share a lot of sensitivity to Turner, but there are others. And, I think the thing that's important for me is that I can feel it. So I think that this is one of the things that is important. As an artist, you want to make sure that your audience can feel what you're feeling. And that's what I try to do. So every one of these paintings, people ask me, well, what's your favorite? But I don't have a favorite because they're all feelings. It's not the picture. I've never painted a picture. I paint feeling. So this is what I want you to recognize. As a painter of color, I'm inspired. Going down the road, it's hard not to take my eyes off the color that I'm seeing everywhere. I find it everywhere. And this particular painting that I did near my home, I live out near Burkittsville. I live in Middletown Valley, and it looks like this. And if anybody has ever been on Route 17 between Burkittsville and Brunswick, it's one of the most beautiful vistas that you'll find. And I'm inspired to paint it. So this is one of the ones where we went out in the yellow field. Now, so that you know, that painting is over here. That painting was done in 2.5 hours. All right, which will give you an idea how fast I can paint. So things don't, if you want to know what I'm about, believe me, I'm pretty aggressive. All right, so this is the energy that I have. The other is that I would be a poet if I didn't have color. So this is what you have to understand. I was always going to be an artist. Might be a musician. I tried playing the trombone, but I'd rather be a poet. So color does that to me, and I think that this is one of the most important things. That painting was here. It sold last night. Was taken by a collector that I have. So it'll give you an idea. I painted that view many times. This is in Lewis, Delaware, and it's I do a workshop in Rehoboth Art League each year. It's very popular, and we go out to the marshes and paint Lewis. And this was it was an inspiring moment. My search is for the voice of nature. So when you look around here, you'll hear if you're sensitive enough, you'll hear that voice. And I think that that's what my search is. So the interesting thing about that is that I'm always searching for the invisible. I know that that's something that you may not even be aware of. But for me, I find that an artist is the one that's going to tell us uh, what the artist is going to tell the scientist before the scientist ever realizes what the artist is doing. All right. But the thing about that was interesting is I gave a lecture on the scattering of light, and it wasn't until the 19th century that science started really working on color. And Turner had lived in the beginning of the 19th century, and he was doing it before all the scientists. So I think that this is one of the things that I feel is important. But for me, the clues are in the visible. So I understand what I'm looking at, and then I'm thinking about what I'm not seeing. That's one of the things I always ask myself. This is just a little study I did at Rehoboth this year for my workshop, just to inspire the students to understand the power of light. Okay, so I thought I captured that. That's here. And I try to paint the spirit. And under any situation, this particular painting was done when we went to Great Falls, and it's a little study that's here. it was raining. Uh, I got under a porch, just looked at what was in front of me, could feel the spirit of that tree. Okay. So it called me. So I painted it. So I think this is, and I'm going to paint it in a way how I feel it. So that's important. So I identify myself as a Maryland artist mostly. I do travel the world painting in a lot of different locations, but I always come back to Maryland. I know it the best. And I think that, if anything, this is from my studio at Tillman Island, and there are a bunch of little, there's like three of them over there, and there's one over here, and one last night sold. Was interesting. I painted all five in the time it took the sun to set. All right. So I want you to understand that I did it in the sequence by which I experienced it. Okay. And then I gave that assignment to my students. So that was the thing. So you can see that I'm inspired by nature. And I understand the sense of a place. Each place has its unique kind of presence. And for that, I try to communicate what I'm feeling that day. So one of the places we do paint is in Jefferson, Maryland, at Lander Boat Ramp, and that's where this particular painting was. That sold also. I think it's still here. The So it'll give you an idea. And that was a great day. The clouds were terrific. Um, one of the most important things for any artist being able to bring the human condition to your work, where human beings identify themselves or identify their experiences in what you're doing. And for me, the strongest elements are arrangements, whether they be figurative or elements like trees that might speak as figures. So I think that this is one of the things that I tend to look for and try to bring into my paintings, an experience that I think you can experience yourself because you've had that. And then the other thing you're going to see here is the addition of small figures. Sometimes I feel that that's what the figure needs. That's that human connection that I think, sometimes landscapes feel, as if uh, without the figure, they just don't seem to have that connection to the viewer. And so I usually try to put a figure in, but oftentimes it's so small that it's just like two touches of paint. All right. And you try to get it to read as a figure. So but that term staffage, you can find them in a number of the paintings. Okay. So that's there. And I also go after sense of scale. Sense of scale is a relationship of one thing that's big to something that's small. And I think that the greater that relationship, the more drama I bring to the work. So I understand that paint's a language. We try to communicate our ideas in paint. That's what it is. And how we can make that paint speak is what I try to communicate to you. This is nothing more than brushstrokes. Sunflowers are the hardest thing to paint because there's two, you have this kind of idea of what the sunflower is, and you have to kind of find what the sunflower is, not come with your idea. So, paintings like this, it's all about the brushstroke and how the brushstroke speaks as part of the design. Painting is problem solving. I try to make everybody understand that paintings go through all kind of stages. The painting is an emotional roller coaster, and you have to be able to enjoy the ride. That's all I'm going to tell you. So you go through all kinds of emotion when you're making your ideas. And with that, you just realize some of you do crossword puzzles or whatever. Why? Because you love trying to solve that problem. Well, this is what painting is about. So I think that this is what we want you to recognize in your work and try to bring it to your work as well. Stylistically, I'm a borderline I work as a borderline representationalist. I'm really tuned into abstraction. I think that all ideas begin abstractly. And actually, all painting is abstract. So it's not like you're giving everything. The camera gives somewhat everything, and that's not what painters do. Painters focus on what is important, and not just anything. So I think that the key here is how you orchestrate that, and I orchestrate it through the paint. I think this is one of the things. And the thickness of paint is very important to me. So I think this is one of the things that I want you to feel. I want you to feel the paint in my paintings. I just don't want you to feel just the picture, in other words, because I think the paint has to speak. So I take artist license. Sometimes paintings sit in the studio, and this one sat in the studio and didn't really wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. So I just took a big brush and brushed right over it. All right. With the understanding that it might work or it might not. All right. But I felt that it did. But you have the license to do anything to your paintings. You don't have to follow an idea. You can make an idea. All right. And I think that this is one of the things that's important. So can I be a realist? This is a particular painting I did at Tillman where I had as a demo, where I had, because I have a studio there, where I had the students mix the colors, get the right shapes. In other words, as a teacher, I can do the range of things. All right. So this is one of the things that I'm about. I do work toward representation, okay, but I stop it. I stop it where I feel I've communicated what's important. And this particular painting was in Croatia, and it's all thin paint. You'll see it here. It's one of the paintings in the earliest stage, but I felt really that it had no labor. That's what this painting's about. And that's what Sorolla was after in his own work, was trying to create a painting that had no labor in it. So, and I think that's one of the things that, I find it's always in the back of my mind. This had no labor. One of the things that I can tell you is all the great artists, if you looked at their body of work, you'd find out that probably 80% of the paintings are unfinished. And the thing is that when you look at you go and you look at the Turners at the Tate Britain, you'll see that right next to them, there's a little word that says unfinished. All right. So it's really, but there are artists who don't believe in finishing things. All right. And I think this is where I am as well. I don't necessarily feel that a finished piece of work gives you the heart that you can feel in it. So you have to be careful. It's a real blend of things. This was just a quick little sketch. I treat all my paintings as sketches. All right. That's why I can do them in 2.5 hours. So I think that this is important. And all you're doing is putting down pieces of paint and communicating an idea you know? So that's it. But can I be realistic? I can. I teach figurative painting. I can teach students how to draw the figure well. I can deal with the color and that. But one of the things that you'll see is that I always try to bring a certain sense of narrative to the work. All right. Not a narrative that controls the painting because I want the color to control the painting more. That's the narrative for me, but I will bring another type of narrative, which is more representational, which I think helps to connect the viewer. Okay, because I do consider the viewer when I'm making my work. I find myself being a composer. I compose symphonies. That's what I look at when I'm making these paintings. I want you to hear the symphony. All right. Uh, so this is it. I mean, this is where I come from, and I think that the music is very important to me. Understand that Newton, who discovered essentially a lot of the properties of color, what motivated him was music. He based the seven colors on the seven scale or whatever music has, seven notes or scales or whatever. All right. And that is interesting because it helps artists understand what they're dealing with when you have something else that you can experience in defining it. So I usually use music to help me to do that. I'm not a literalist, though. All right. It's not important for me to show you everything. And I want you to have a rhythm in the way you look at things. And that rhythm is like in this particular painting, the pattern of the light and how it dances. So I think that when I'm also making a painting, it is about the dance of the eye. And so I try to build the painting on that kind of rhythm. You can feel that in here because you can see the vertical light and how it kind of progresses through the space. And I think that's one of the things I find important. It is all about the paint. I will tell you that painting is paint. It isn't anything else. All right. So, how abstract do you think paint is? Somebody said to me, God, if I saw that scene, it would just be all brown. So you see, I don't see all brown. Okay. It's fascinating to me that I can see colors everywhere. All right. And that's what I mean by the invisible that needs to be found. Okay. So I find nature provides endless amounts of visual sensations. And that's why I paint the landscape. All right. That is no 2 days are alike. So you never run out of ideas, you know. And this was in Croatia, but right out a window, the storm was coming. And actually, this was in Portugal. So I'll give you an idea where that painting was painted. This is across the street from my house. I know that more better than any. For me, the mind, eye, and hand have to move together. And when you see a conductor of a symphony, you see how the mind, eye, and hand are working. Well, the way I paint is I feel the rhythm of my mind. All right. And that's one of the things that I communicate. So my brushwork is all about that. So when I was touching those yellows, I went out to finish this painting. I'd done it a year or two before, but I didn't think it was finished. So I went out, pulled it out of the studio just before this show, and you see all the yellows that are in the front. That was all me listening to the music, the dance. All right. And I wasn't thinking leaves. That would be the worst thing. All right. So I think that this is one of the things that I want you to recognize. If you start calling things trees or leaves or boats, it's going to be a problem. All right. Because the language, English gets into making things a problem. All right. So just know that. So I like intuition to take the precedent. I like my response. That's one of the things that I do with I came to understand that the power of color has inspiring us in our everyday lives. I mean, this is one of the things that I think color does. So what is a painting? It is a record of my thoughts. These are all my thoughts. They're experiencing what it came out of my mind. All right. And as I said, as Plutarch said, painting is silent poetry. That's what he said. And every painting is a piece of music, you hear me, or poetry or dance. I feel that really great painting has all three in it: dance, music, and poetry, as well as the visual. And, we should be able to, if we could do this maybe in the future, you'd walk up to a painting, you would have the poem on the right next to it, and you would have the music as you walked in front of it. In other words, but it'd have to be your own music. So that's it. So painting does not require memory. This is one of the things about painting that's different from literature, dance, or music. All right. So we have the beginning and the end all here at once. And so this is one of the things you need to understand. And painting is just another way of keeping a diary, as Picasso said. So this is my diary. The philosophically, my work has evolved to reflect my temperament, and I understand who I am through my painting. I think this is what I've learned. If I could share that with you, those of you that are new at this, uh, believe me, this is one of the things that's so important is understanding that work teaches you about who you are, and you need to be able to reflect on that. So the keys to making a good painting, first of all, think it and you will see it. I think that's if you ask yourself where the blue is, you will see the blue. If you ask yourself where the red is, you will see the red. It's interesting when you don't question and you don't ask questions of yourself, that's when you don't see. So you really need to understand that you need to think it. When I'm painting, I ask myself, with each color, I say, where's the blue? Where's the violet? Where's the green? All right, that's important. And then you have to feel it. And this is one of the things that you've heard from me. All these paintings are about feeling. I want you to feel this orange. All right. I put the painter in there because the painter was actually in front of me when this was at Tillman. This particular painting has probably 10 other paintings underneath it. So just so you know, all right, it was a canvas from hell because it just didn't give me what I wanted for at least a number of paintings. But then that one day, I just took it out there, and boy, I could feel the red. All right, so I built it around the red, and that's the thing. If you want to know where my energy is from color. I internalize it. I internalize it. It is my fuel. If you've never experienced color that way, then I would like to try and teach you that, because that's what my teaching's been about all these years. And I've taught over, I would say, close to 30,000 students at this stage of my life. All right. So everybody knows I teach 6 classes a week. All right. And I have students all the time. My life is built around that, and I love it. So I'm caught up in expressing the immediacy and in the moment, and how things change around us. And I think this is important. My goal is to capture the freshness of my thoughts. That's what I want. And this is a great example of what I do. I'll just grab a little canvas. I see these figures standing there. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It's more about the color and the spirit of what I'm experiencing. And I can paint just about anything and try to make it work. So it is about the present. Understand what I do is I paint on the spot. The present is a present. It isn't the time that you're in, it's that you get a present. All right, when you're working in the present, you're immersed in the moment, and you're gifted epiphanies. Epiphanies are these breakthroughs in awareness that just keep you going. All right, this particular figure, a little study here, I couldn't paint this with a brush. I had to use the palette knife. I tried painting with a brush. I was so frustrated. I had to grab the palette knife and just start just putting on paint. All right. I just couldn't, it was really funny, but it was really something that you just learn as an artist not to give up, and you learn to solve it. I realize my ideas are born abstractly. So this is how you see with the work that I do. And most of these boat paintings are from Tillman. And I say the knowledge is in the paint. When a painting really works, it is that knowledge that you've communicated. And so you try to make it work. This painting, by the way, is over there. This is number 3. I did a study. It was like 16 by 20. It even had sand on it. And I had the 2 girls on the left and the guy on the right fighting over the painting. All right. They were from Quebec, the girls, and the guys from Bethesda. So the Bethesda guy won. All right. But the thing is that I was working with a group of students, and I said, today we're going to take one of our paintings, small paintings, and we're going to make it really big. So I made this larger painting of this one, and it was in a catalog because it was going to be in the embassy in Malawi. All right, U.S. Embassy. But I had a buyer for the painting, and I said, it's going to go for 3 years. You better get it now. So he wound up buying the painting. Well, guess what? I didn't have a painting, and it was in the catalog. So I had to make another one. So that was the one that I made. So that's number 3. All right. But it never really was finished, but I finally finished it. I think I've got it to where I want it to be. So 9 things, and you know what happens with every time you do a painting? It's like that sequel of movies. The first one is the best. The second one's not too bad, but the third one is the hardest to make better. All right. So I thought I did a pretty good job with that one. So the 9 things that I think about when I'm making a painting are emotion. I think about how I describe the thought. I think about expressing the thought in paint. All right. Which is the brush stroke. I think of the psychological. And I think this is one really important thing about making paintings. They need to touch the viewer. So I try to make that happen. I understand symbolism. All artists speak in symbols. You need to understand that even the color red is a symbol. And then I understand the tactile properties, whether I want it smooth, whether I want it textured. And then the atmosphere is important. The spatial qualities are important. And then the theory. All these paintings are finished from my memory. I never go and use a photo. Why don't I use a photo? Because photos replace memory. Do you want to lose your memory? Keep working from the photo. That's all I'll tell you. All right. Because you really want to understand how important it is to use that thought. Who said that? Leonardo da Vinci. He said paint from memory. That was his thing. All right. So just keep this in mind. So how do I judge paintings? I judge them by their feeling. When I did this one, I turned around and all of a sudden it took place. I was painting another painting, and all of a sudden it was there. So I grabbed hold of it. So I go after the feeling when I'm looking for things. I look for the unique approach to the ordinary. I know that I'm painting a sunset. All right. And you can see the scale relationship here, but you can see the low horizon. You have to make a decision where you're going to set the horizon. So I set it low. I think this is important. And then I look for that rhythm that I'm talking about, and I look for something to feel authentic. I want to discover something that's important. And then the rest of it is the things that you learn in an art class. So I think that this is, important to recognize. Do I like this painting? I like this painting a lot because it was one of those where I was looking in another direction and painting for 4 hours, and then all of a sudden turned around and a storm's coming. I didn't have that much time to make the painting. I had to make it as soon as I could. All right. So that's it. The other thing is a good painting is comparable to good cooking. So you have to fine tune it. I think that's one of the most important things. And this painting had some clouds in the sky, things like that. Took it back to the studio and simplified it. I mean, that's what you're going to do. I like painting the figure. You see some of the figures around here. The figure is probably a little bit more difficult than the landscape. The landscape is something that I think because it's not connected to us, it's sort of a kind of new experience for us. But anything that's like us, believe me, if you don't do it right, everybody knows. All right. So the figure is one of the things that's just hard to get. I call this inner glow. I don't know if you realize it, but your bodies absorb colored light. Do you know that? Do you know that your skin is translucent and that the colors enter you? Do you know that? Well, they do. And they actually go around your body, and that gives you your inner glow. All right, which I think is what is real important to recognize about. It is called subsurface scattering of light. So if you don't know that, it is. But here is what Aristotle said: the aim of art is not to represent the outer appearance of the things, but their inner significance. And that's why I put that painting up there. I have that painting sitting in my studio every day. So, sharing it with you. So do you have, this is one of the things, whenever I'm out painting and it's not working, I say to myself, I have the same colors that Monet has. So I should be able to make a Monet. All right. So there's no excuses, in other words. All right. And I'm not wedded to the photograph. I keep bringing that up, but this is a painting where I worked it from memory. There were no two boats there. The water was worked and reworked. And it was really interesting. Even up until the show, I didn't think I had it where I wanted it to be, but because I wanted the feeling, I wanted the wind that I was experiencing that day. So that's how it works. And was done just this last week in Washington Grove. Anybody know where Washington Grove is? Put your hands up. All right. Not very many of you do. It's in Montgomery County. It's in Gaithersburg, and it's the cutest little place you ever did want to find. All right. As a matter of fact, trees grow out of the middle of houses. So this is the way it is. It was a Methodist little summer camp, and now it's kind of like one of the places where people really want to live. But we go there and paint, and this was, I called this something like the fortune of gold. It had more gold in it than you could ever buy. That's what my take on it. The power of color, I understand that. I build my paintings around color. I built this painting around the color red. Paintings can humble you. We go out and paint night paintings. They can be difficult because it's hard to see. So I think this is one of the things as well. And you're challenged to make your ideas. Know this: the value of a good painting doesn't come because the painting's good. The value of a good painting is when you've worked at, Dante's Inferno, where you have to go through hell to get to heaven. Well, that's the way it is. All right. So if you don't experience that, you don't really have not experienced painting. All right. This painting sitting over there, I have worked and worked and reworked that painting to the point where there's so much thick paint on that right now that I just put it in. I said, maybe it's done right now. Maybe it's not. All right. So just so you know, I use my memory. This is all from memory. I've painted this scene over and over again. All right. This is in Lander Landing. This is painted from memory. Can you paint things that you've painted over and over again from memory? That's what I'll tell you. Try it. Okay. And the stages of making a painting, I like this painting too, because this is a scene that I would not have thought to paint because the tire tracks were all just snow. And it was like, can I paint that? That's what I was asking myself. Can I paint that? All right. So I decided I'm going to try and paint that. All right. So that sold today. So that was great by a collector that I have. So I think that this is one of the things about understanding your subject. You just need to understand how to build it. All right. And it's like building a house. I always say that building or painting and making a building, or I'm sorry, making a painting is like building a building. And, you evaluate your decisions. You know how much you like it. All right. And then you test it on others. See what happens. If somebody reinforces your idea by buying it, then that's one of the things that you hope for. I look for design. Okay. I look for where lines line up and the pattern of color and that. This is another little sketch that I like. A lot of the small paintings have much more of the fresh sketch-like qualities in them. This one is over here. This is one of my wife's favorites, the purple. All right. It's all about the purple, you know. And I think that's, I gave a lecture. I was on one of these videos up on YouTube. Some company had me give a painting demo. And I gave a painting demo because I knew I was going to be up there on a palette that artists hadn't worked with. So I got two colors that I know that they wouldn't have worked with. For instance, have you worked with alizarin yellow? Well, maybe. Okay, but there isn't a alizarin yellow. Have you worked with Provence violet bluish? That's a tube of paint. So that was alizarin yellow, and the purple is the two great colors together. They dance together. All right. So this is how you build your idea. So you choose a subject that what appeals to you. And I think that this is right across the street from my house. One of the things that's important is to paint. My best paintings come from when I've painted the scene over and over again because I've learned from it. So every time it snows, I can't go anywhere. I just go right outside where my kids sat at the bus stop. All right. And I paint from there. I paint with AC every morning. So this is the house across the street. We live right next to the Appalachian Trail. You walk right up the hill and you're on the Appalachian Trail. So that's where I live. I live in an 1840 log cabin, by the way. All the houses on the street, some of them are kind of tilting one way or the other. They're all log cabins. All right. So it's really interesting. My work starts without a preconceived idea. I start with an idea, but it doesn't end with the same idea. That's what I want you to understand. That's why I can't work from a photo, because photos take you in the direction of the idea. I want it to go in my own idea. My search is for the essence. So if I can do a sketch like this and I can capture the feeling and the idea, that's all I need to do. And then the secret is to listen to the music, and once you have painted outdoors, it's hard to return indoors to work in the studio. So I want you to recognize that as well. And then if my advice to you, and now this is the end of the lecture, I'm going to give you my advice. All right. My advice is if you want to be an artist, and some of you maybe aren't, okay, but you are here listening to this lecture. All right. Our struggle is to find our own path. All right. So you have to find your path. You have your sensitivities, you have your awareness. All right. I came right out, that painting's here. I like this painting a lot. It was snowing. I came out of the door of my studio. It was too cold to go any further. I popped my easel right there, stood in the doorway so the heat could come out. So it was still warm. And this is the scene that I saw. I thought, could I paint that with those, and I did. So this is who I am. That's my path. And I work at it. This is one of the things that I do. I painted thousands and thousands of paintings. I have confidence in my own ideas. This is an interesting one. It's not a really great photo of it, but it's up here. I don't know if it's finished or not, to tell you the truth, but if it is, if you want to buy it, it's great. I call it doom. All right. Yeah, you're doomed. All right. So I actually had a seascape workshop, and this was one of the last things that I did. I said, we're going to paint the ocean from memory. So we started, how you feel the ocean, right? So all of a sudden I had this, don't ask me, I scraped it all. Then I could see a horizon up there. Then I sat in the studio for the longest time and I said, what happens if I put a boat coming over the top of that? So that's where it got the narrative. Okay. This one also, I took Shoshana is here. She'll say to me, are we going to the airport again? All right. So this is one from the airport. I tried to inspire her to paint the airport. We go out to Montgomery County Airport and just paint. But I try to deal with non-traditional ways of seeing something. So I'm going to look at a rectangle that's really long, see that length of that wing, see the eye level, and just play with it. This one is creative thinking. It was up there. Yeah, it's still up there. This I call, what's interesting, I call it geyser. It was a cloud that appeared for only a moment. Just like a photographer, you have your canvas, you grab it and you try to paint it. It lasted only this long. Okay. So I want you to understand that a lot of these paintings are only this long. And I think that I do that. I carry canvases with me and I might be working on something else and I just grab another canvas and do it. All right. And there's the abstraction. All right, because it's the relationships. And then I use my imagination. I was out in this field painting these cows. All right. The interesting thing is a storm came over the ridge. Didn't have a lightning bolt. I just thought I'd add a little imagination to it. All right. Um, and then I asked for divine support. All right. This is one of the things that I'm going to tell you. I talk to artists. All right. I honestly, if I'm painting a figure, I'm talking to Degas. I talk to Turner. Okay. And then, sometimes I talk to the divine. So just so you know, I'm waiting for luck to happen. All right. So it was Einstein. We're going to end with this. Einstein's great thought begins by seeing something differently with the shift of the mind's eye. I think that this is so important to understand a little bit about yourself, is that all of you have a great way of thinking and seeing. You just have to not think and see like everyone else. And unfortunately, culturally, we want you all to be the same size, look the same, right? There are no human beings that look the same, and there are no human beings that think the same. So just keep that in mind. So our job is to deepen the mystery, and the real artist is your work is a surprise to yourself, and the secret is in the paint. All right. And this is the last one. This is my model Wayne. I just finished this painting. It's been sitting in my studio for a long time. And I put cards in his hand. All right. I said, he looks like a card player. And I put a little red thing there. It's finished now. All right. The past has bequeathed us great works of art. If we were wholly satisfied with them, we wouldn't need to make any new ones. Do you understand? I think this is one of the things that's real important about being an artist. We're not satisfied. All right. So don't think that day's ever going to come. It doesn't. And then to end, we have our member show. If you're around here in December 6th, we're going to have a great opening here at the studio. Hope that you all come. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and I want to thank you all for being part of it. Now, answer any questions if anybody has anything. Barry?
Are you still pushing yourself to improve or change in some way or?
I
greater improvement in just keep doing it?
I grow with every idea. My work is exactly that. It's a search. I'm not running out of ideas because I'm in the flow. When you get in the flow, you see ideas everywhere. So the key is to make sure that you see, you know, that you get to that point. Can you take a break? You can't. Because if you take a break, now it's harder to get back into that flow again. So I don't take a break. All right, just so you know. All right. Anybody else?
You mentioned it all.
Well, this is a two-dimensional surface. It's flat. You may be seeing three-dimension in it, all right, but it's just paint. And so it is right there is the abstraction. It's not three-dimensional, you know. The other is the paint itself. The paint is a language for me. I use it in a way to express the idea. So I'm looking at the paint more than I'm looking at the object. I want to paint the object in the feeling of the paint. And that's what I do. Anyone else?
When you're out there and we have a couple of hours, what do you think first, the light or the dark?
That's a good question because I don't look at time. Somebody will say to me, I only have 5 minutes. I'll pull a canvas out and in 5 minutes, I'll just grab it. I usually go after, I can teach you design. All right. I usually, if I have time, I might divide the painting in the patterns of dark and light first. All right. Because that's a balance. You need to be able to understand that a good painting has a certain sense of harmony in it. All right. That means that everything is unified in some way, that it all relates and balances each other out, that there's nothing that's too strong, that controls things too much. All right. Because you want to see the whole painting. So you're balancing things back and forth. So I do go for color first. If you were to ask me what would I paint if there was a piece of red in front of me and that was the only piece of red that I saw, I'd grab that red first. So, and then I grab whatever follows. I paint like I play tennis. All right, which means that I hit the ball over here, I come back over here. I'm up here, I'm down here. I look at the whole canvas as I'm building the painting. So I do not try to stay, I don't think slowly. You got to understand, I'm doing this, fast. All right. And I'm responding back and forth. I know I can fix it. I can fix it by just keep painting. All right. So that's how I do it. But I do know that I can control your thoughts just by the balance of color and value. So I try to build the painting around that. I see the picture in my mind. It's there. The color's in my mind. I see the picture. You got to understand, when I was in college, I was never a great student until the day I got photographic memory, which was I could look at a page in a book and see the page. That's how I wound up studying. It worked perfectly for me. All right. It was really weird, but I could read the page when I went into the test because I saw the arrangement of things and the important elements, not everything, but the important things. I do that now. I see the idea in my mind. I can paint my portrait if I needed to right now. Okay. Because I know what I look like. Of course, I look different from how I look at myself than you look at myself. All right. So it's like, that's the way it is, the way you look at me. Anybody else?
You just maybe call the image and you see it in my mind.
I see it totally, totally in my mind. All right. So I can see a storm coming. I can see, you understand? I mean, it's really kind of funny, but I can see an apple. I'm sure most of you can see an apple in your mind, can't you? All right. Then you paint that apple. That's the way to do it. Have confidence enough to in your own ideas to make them. All right. That's the most important thing. Anyone else? Okay. Well, this was great. I enjoyed doing it. You can see how much I enjoy painting and working with people. So with that, I say, thank you for coming. All right.